Okay, entonces, today we are singing this bhajan by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhavarnave Pademora. It's in the yellow book, page 222, 222. Bhavarnave Pademora, Akula Paramana. Bhavarnave Pademora, Akula Parana. Kishekula Pavatara, Napai Sandana. Kishekula Pavatara, Napai Sandana. Nache Karama Bala, Nahi Jnana Bala. Nache Karama Bala, Nahi Jnana Bala. Jaga Joga Tapo Dharma, Nayache Samvala. Jaga Joga Tapo Dharma, Nayache Samvala. Nitanta Durlala Ami, Najani Satara. Nitanta Duramvalayami, Najani Satara. Evi pade ke amare, koribe udhara. Evi pade ke amare, koribe udhara. Vishaya kumbhirata hai, Vishana darshana. Vishaya kumbhirata hai, Vishana darshana. Kamerata ranga sadha, kare ute jana. Kamerata ranga sadha, kare ute jana. Prarthana vayura vega, sahite na pari. Prarthana vayura vega, sahite na pari. Kandiyaya Śrī Ramana, Nadeki Kandhari. Kandiyaya Śrī Ramana, Nadeki Kandhari. Ogo Shri Janava Devi, Edase Karuna. Ogo Shri Janava Devi, Edase Karuna. Karo aji niya gune, Gucha ho jantrana. Karo aji nija gune, Gucha ho jantrana. Tomara charana tari, Koriyaya Shraya. Tomara charana tari, Koriyaya Shraya. Bhavarnava parahava, Korechi nishchaya. Bhavarnava parahava, Korechi nishchaya. Tumi Nityananda Shakti, Krishna Bhakti Guru. Tumi Nityananda Shakti, Krishna Bhakti Guru. Edase Karahodana, Padakalpataru. Edase Karahodana, Padakalpataru. Koto koto pamarere, kare choyodhara. Koto koto pamarere, kare choyodhara. Tomara charana aja, ekangala chara. Tomara charane aja, ekankala chara. Jaya Janavadevi, Jaya Janavadevi, Nityananda Shakti Jaya Janavadevi, Jaya Janavadevi, Jaya Janavadevi, Nityananda Shakti Jaya Janavadevi, Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva. Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya. Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol. So this is Bhavarnavai Demora by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Having fallen into this vast ocean of material existence, how will my bewildered soul find the shore? I have no clue how to reach it. I have no strength of accumulated pious activities, knowledge, sacrifices, yogic practice, austerities, or religiosity. Indeed, I have no resources at all. I am extremely weak and don't know how to swim. Who will rescue me from this calamity? The crocodile of sense enjoyment is a ferocious sight, and the waves of lust are constantly agitating me. I cannot tolerate the raging winds of the consequences of my activities in pious births. I simply weep with an agitated mind, for I see no sailors to rescue me. O Sri Janavadevi, by virtue of your own good qualities, show compassion to this servant today and remove my afflictions. I have determined that I will cross over this vast ocean of material existence by taking shelter of the boat of your lotus feet. You are the potency of Nityananda Prabhu and the authority on Krishna Bhakti. Kindly bestow your lotus feet, which are like desired tree, upon this servant. You have delivered many sinful persons. Today, this wretched beggar falls at your lotus feet. Okay, so this is such a beautiful, beautiful bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And we were talking so much about him that, this bhajan came to mind.
Oh, Nityananda Prabhu, you're the moderator today. You can mute everybody. Somebody is talking in the background.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's not muted, so you can mute everyone.
Nityananda Prabhu, I think it's your background, perhaps. Maybe I think it's the same marriage. Everyone else is muted.
Okay. So Nityananda's allowing that
Nityananda Prabhu.
intruder.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now this should be better.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. So today we are doing this Parikramā. We're on the 4th day of the Parikramā and the 5th day of the Zoom transmission. And we are visiting 2 holy places today. We're going to Koladvīpa.
You've still got the background in.
Robocitos, un segundito, por favor. Thank you. Gracias. Okay, so we're going to Koladvīpa to finish the Parikramā on that part, and then Ṛtrudvīpa. So these are very important places, and we are today graced by the lectures in Harikatha of Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridanti Maharaj and Sripad Vaikarana Maharaj. So Maharaj, I'll hand over to you. Please, if you can do the Jayadwani as well. Sorry, Hari Bol.
Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Astotara Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Astotara Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Astotara Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Maharaj Goswami. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Astotara Shimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nityalila Pravishta Om Astotara Shimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Siramani Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shivata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sika Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip, Mayapur, Simantadvip, Gautramdvip, Madhyadvip, Koladvip, Ṛtrudvīpa, Janadvip, Modandvip, Rudradvip, Avagan, Navadvip, Dham Ki Jai. Paturavan, Bandiravan, Bailvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiyavan, Kamyavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Kopa Kopiko Govardhan Dvarasavar Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shyamakund, Rādhā-kuṇḍa, Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Srimati Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Vrinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Hitramandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vignavanasa Karishina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Chari Dham Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhaveva Cha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, should I carry on now? Nitai? Is that Nitai, you there? Oh, he's jumped off. Okay, so I presume I just carry on from here. So yes, we had the Nitai just gave us the route today. So we're on our 4th day of the Parikramā, the 5th day of this Zoom. So we've covered Antardvīpa, Simantadvīpa, Gautramdvīpa, Madhyadvīpa, and Koladvīpa, and Ṛtrudvīpa. We've covered 6 islands. So we have another 3 islands to go. That is Ṛtrudvīpa. Today we'll be covering Ṛtrudvīpa in Rādhā-kuṇḍa and Vidyānagara. And then tomorrow we'll go to Janadvīpa and Modramdvīpa. So this makes 9 islands. Then we'll have completed our Parikramā. So today we're setting out. I'll just personally offer a pranam to my Gurudev. Gurave Gaura Chandrai Radhikaya Dadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Without our pranam mantras at the beginning, then we can't channel anything of value. So I just said the Jaidwani, but I didn't say the prayers to my Gurudev, so I'm just interjecting with that now. Because previously the MCs, they would stop after Jaidwani and then introduce the speaker, and then I would speak. So, but today I lost the MC. So today we are walking approximately 5 kilometers in the early morning. It's a most glorious walk. We come out of Keshavji Gaudiya Math, and traditionally it would be quite chaotic with a few thousand people trying to squeeze through the gate at the same time. And my Gurudev would very often be carrying the palanquin for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and just to set the Vigraha of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the road, so to speak. And then we'd have beautiful, beautiful, sweet Bengali kirtans all the way for 5 kilometers. The speakers would be mounted on a rickshaw, and thousands of yatris, pilgrims, would be walking behind along the busy highway. And the whole we would occupy one side of the road totally. So everyone had to back up into the other lane, the trucks and everything, many trucks there coming through, because it's the main Calcutta highway that runs there. We've come onto today. We've crossed now onto the main highway. We're still in Koladvīpa. We're still in the island of Koladvīpa is very long, because the day of Ekadashi, we walked through the center of Navadvīpa. We saw Prodamaya, and then we walked beyond Prodamaya into Ṛtrudvīpa at the very end. So that was along the end part of Koladvīpa. But now we're walking in Koladvīpa to the other extremity, the other end. And this is towards Samudragaḍha. This is going to be our first place. And then we're going to go to Campaka-haṭṭa. And after that, we'll go to Vidyānagara. And after that, we'll go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa and Śyāma-kuṇḍa. But on the way to Samudragaḍha, we traditionally pass the backside of Rādhā-kuṇḍa. If you look at the map, we didn't get the map today, Yashodhari. Yashodhari, are you around? I can't catch Nitai. I don't know what he's doing. But we had a map yesterday. Anyone there? Can people hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Trying to get the map, but it's
no,
not
the map
showing
from
the
map from the Parikramā book. This little map here. This one, yeah.
Trying to get it.
Just so we can orientate ourselves, because we stop at the backside of Rādhā-kuṇḍa and Śyāma. Oh, no, you have to scroll right through that to come to the map. Scroll fast. No, whiz it through till you get to the map of the 4th day. Anyway, the 2nd day. What's that? You just passed. Yes. Okay. Now you can see. Okay. Now everybody can see. This is where we're walking today. We've got our Keshavji Gaudiya Math there, indicated on the right-hand corner in the middle. And we're going to walk along the road as I've just described. And then we come into this main highway. This main artery highway is the highway from Calcutta north. So we've come onto this main highway, and halfway along, there's the backside of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, because we're going to circumambulate around Rādhā-kuṇḍa to Vidyānagara, which is just above Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and then we're going to head back for our temple there. So we generally stop here at the backside of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and we hear a beautiful katha by Srila Gurudev describing the glories of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, because when we reach Rādhā-kuṇḍa at the end, it's usually quite chaotic because there's so many people and they're feeding us there at Rādhā-kuṇḍa. So the katha there is a little bit different, but today we're going to have Sripad Vaikanis Maharaj explain all about Rādhā-kuṇḍa. So I won't take any time by glorifying Rādhā-kuṇḍa now. So we're walking past Rādhā-kuṇḍa on our right, and we're going to the it's the southwestern corner down there of Samudragaḍha. So yes, you got it now. Thank you. So we've come to Samudragaḍha. Now, this is the place traditionally of the king Samudrasena. Samudrasena was a great bhakta. of Govinda Dev in Vrindavan. And he would worship Govinda Dev in Vrindavan. He wasn't familiar, of course, with the extensive teachings that Mahaprabhu distributed later on about the real nature of Vrindavan, Parakya Rasa, etc. But like Jayadev Goswami, he was very much in a mood of Aishwarya towards Govinda Dev, but he understood Govinda Dev. So he very much indeed wanted to have darshan of Govinda Dev. He was praying in his heart for a direct darshan of Govinda Dev. And then Maharaj Yudhisthira was performing his Rajasuya sacrifice. And the Rajasuya sacrifice consists of having a sacrificial horse, a very beautiful, one of the best, most beautiful horses that they had at the time. And that horse would just wander, and an army would come behind that horse. And all knew the tradition that if any king stopped that horse, then the army would attack that king and force that king into submission to, in this case, Maharaj Yudhisthira. So that sacrificial horse was sent out to cover all of India. And Bhimsen was coming this side towards Bengal. And then another horse would go north with Arjun. Another horse would go to the west with Nakul. Another horse would go more south with Sahadev. So all the Panch Pandavas were supporting this Rajasuya Yagya of Yudhisthira Maharaj. So when this horse came into the province, which we call Bengal today, and came into the area of Samudragaḍha's domain, his kingship, he had an idea. If I fight very, very heavily with Bhimsen, then surely he's going to call out to his Ishtadev, Krishna, Govinda. He'll call him out. He'll have to cry for protection from me. So he had this plan, and then he knew that Govinda would manifest to protect his dear Nityasiddha Parikā Bhima. So he did like this. So interesting plan. So he attacked so vigorously because he got the horse, the sacrificial horse, and he kept it, and immediately Bhimsen understood, oh, I have to fight this king into submission to give the donation, etc., and to submit himself to Yudhisthira Maharaj before we can begin the sacrifice. Everyone in India was going to support Yudhisthira Maharaj as the emperor of India. So this was the way that they did it. So then Samudragaḍha, he attacked, or Bhimsen, he attacked Samudragaḍha. Then Samudragaḍha had a larger army, and he attacked so vigorously, with so much energy and so much passion, that Bhimsen was put into a position of defeat. And he was thinking, I'm going to be defeated here. And he was really anxious about victory. And in that time, when he was being defeated by Samudragaḍha, then he calls out to Govinda, to Krishna, just as Draupadi called out to Govinda. And Govinda manifests at that time to Samudragaḍha and gives him darshan. And Samudragaḍha stops fighting immediately as soon as he because that was the intention, that was the purpose of his vigorous battle, very energetic battle. And when Govinda manifests, Samudragaḍha immediately prostrates himself and offers beautiful, beautiful prayers to Govinda. And Govinda becomes very pleased with those prayers because Samudragaḍha is offering prayers to Govinda in Vrindavan. And Govinda becomes very pleased and satisfied with that. And at that time, he shows his Sadbhuj form, and he shows the form of Sachinandan Gaurahari, who has never been seen before. Samudragaḍha had no idea about Sachinandan Gaurahari and his golden complexion and his most beautiful, beautiful form, having the complexion of Sri Radhika. And he's completely astonished and totally overwhelmed. And he immediately, of course, as I just said, stops fighting with Bhimsen and relishes that darshan. And Govinda at that time is very satisfied with Samudrasen. So Samudrasen has achieved his objective, which was to have darshan directly of Govinda, but he wasn't aware that he was going to see Sachinandan too at the same time. So he sees Sachinandan. So this is a very special darshan that he's receiving. And Bhimsen, because he doesn't see Govinda, no one else sees Govinda except Samudrasen, who had the qualification. What was his qualification? It was the utmost greed, the desperation that he really wanted to see him. That was the reason why Govinda granted him darshan. And Bhimsen, all he could see was that it seemed that Samudrasen has broken down and is weeping. He couldn't quite understand why that was happening, but Samudrasen has thrown his weapons down. So then Bhimsen understood that he has actually been victorious over Samudrasen, and all the armies stopped fighting. And then Samudrasen welcomes Bhimsen with great loving and affection, because he knows he's a Nityasiddha Parikar, ultimately of Govinda Dev, of Krishna, and he pays his tribute, etc., and gives the horse back. So, but this is what happens here. Samudra means ocean. Samudragaḍha means where the ocean comes to meet Mother Ganga. Ganga Devi is rushing down, brought by Bhagirath through his austerities, and comes into the ocean in what is now called Calcutta, the delta in Calcutta. But if you back up the Ganga, you come to the first place where the Ganga and the ocean actually meet. We're at the extremity of the borderline. If you look at this map again, this one here that we had on the screen before, you can see Samudragaḍha. So this Samudragaḍha is at the very southern western portion of Navadvīpa. And this is where Ganga Devi meets the ocean. Yes, this is where Ganga Devi, you have to go up a bit. Yeah, where Ganga Devi meets the ocean. The Samudra wants to associate with Ganga Devi. Ganga Devi is rushing to purify the ocean, in fact. So they meet at this place. So this is why it's called Samudragaḍha. But traditionally here, we would have the most amazing katha. We were there 1 year. I was there a few years before this katha actually originated, but in 1 year, Bhaktivedanta Śrīla Trivikram Maharaj was with us, and he posed the question that who is more devotional? Is it Bhimsen or is it Samudrasen? So Śrīla Trivikram Maharaj, very strongly with so much Shastric evidence, was proving that Bhimsen is a Nityasiddha Parikar of Krishna. He's one of the arms of Krishna, the 5 Pandavas, and he's serving the Lord totally. But my Gurudev said, actually no, Samudrasen is the higher bhakta because of the intensity of his greed to see Govinda. So we would traditionally, from that day onwards, every time we went there for the next 4, 5, 7 years, we would have this very loud debate, and many other scholarly devotees would chime in, and Gurudev would have his party. He was supporting Samudrasen, saying that this was the highest bhakta because of the intensity of his devotion, his devotional mood to see Krishna. And Śrīla Trivikram Maharaj, who would generally take the opposing view of Gurudev, just to bring out Gurudev's fire, and it really did each time, and Śrīla Trivikram Maharaj, both of them together would just fire off at each other. And sometimes this debate would go for about 40, 50 minutes. It was very, very enthusing for the devotees to hear. But traditionally, we would always hear these two conceptions of who is the greater devotee. And my Gurudev would always claim that Samudra Sen, because of the intensity and greed of his desire to have darshan of Govinda Dev. So this is the pastime that we have. If we go today, recently in the last 7-8 years, they built a very nice temple there. Previously, it was just an open piece of land that we were sitting in. But now they built a temple there to commemorate the Samudra Sen's darshan of Govinda Dev. So there's a very beautiful environment here. It's very rustic Bengali village, very simple. The whole of our walk today is going to be through a very rustic nature of Bengal. It's very sweet, beautiful. Birds are chirping all the time. Bengalis are everywhere, very sweetly doing their business, etc. But it's a very beautiful place at Samudragaḍha. So now from Samudragaḍha, we're going to come out from Samudragaḍha and we're going to go back onto the main road where we've just come from and walk back a little bit, about 0.5 kilometer to, you can see there from Samudragaḍha to Campaka-haṭṭa. Campaka-haṭṭa is the name of the village that was built around this beautiful garden, this garden of champak flowers. And it's described that originally in such a yuga, there was one Brahmin who was very diligently worshipping the Lord with these beautiful champak flowers, golden, beautiful golden flowers. And Krishna became very pleased by this Brahman's devotion, and he manifested his form to that Brahman. And he manifested the form of Sachinandan Gaurahari, who he was telling this Brahman that in his a later birth, he would actually take birth and perform service to this same Gaurahari. So that Brahman manifests in Gaura Lila as Vaninath Pandit, who is the brother of Gadadhar Pandit. So Vaninath is the younger brother of Gadadhar Pandit. So Vaninath was living there at that time in this very place of Campaka-haṭṭa. It wouldn't have been a village at that time. This is 500 years ago, a little bit more than 500 years ago. So that wouldn't have been a village then, but it was a beautiful garden, and that was his residence, Vaninath. And Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, and Gadadhar, his brother, would come regularly to visit Vaninath. It's said in some instances he would come daily. I'm just going to interject here the beautiful description that I forgot to say at the beginning by Bhaktivinoda Thakur from his Navadvīpa Bhav Tarangini. I was going to mention this at the beginning, Taranga. So it's just a description to backtrack for a second into Samudragaḍha. A little further on from here, I see the holy place called Śrī Samudragaḍha, the purifier of the whole universe. This is the description of Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Samudragaḍha, where we just come. This is where Bhima had fought with King Samudra Sen. We just described that. And received a personal audience with the Lord, who is the friend of the fallen and who acknowledges his pure devotees. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is seeing all this in his mystical vision. And then he describes this forest of Campaka-haṭṭa. So we are still in Koladvīpa, and it's saying the northern part of Koladvīpa is the village called Campaka-haṭṭa, which perpetually shines beautifully within Navadvīpa Dham. This Campaka-haṭṭa is a great holy place and is quite an enchanting village. It is where the poet Jayadev worships the moonlight Gaura. So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision, establishing these holy places. So where we are in this garden that I've just described is established originally in this time, in this part of the Yuga, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's showing where it is. And so coming back to where we were before, So Vaninath would stay there with his family, and Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar would come regularly to visit. But then when Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar, his brother, decided to move to Puri, then Vaninath's separation was absolutely extreme. When we say extreme, it's like when you really fall utterly, deeply in love with the Supreme Lord, the way these personalities are described, then separation is torturous. So Vaninath was feeling great separation. And then when Mahaprabhu returns on his way to Ramkeli from Puri, he comes again to the house of Vaninath. And Vaninath is begging, please don't leave. You can't leave. And he's crying so piteously to Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu indicates, you bring me that neem log. There's a large log there. And he himself manifests this beautiful deity of himself and Gadadhar Pandit. Mahaprabhu himself makes this deity, and he gives it to Vaninath, and Vaninath is in total ecstasy. This deity is non-different to Mahaprabhu, to Gadadhar, and they're very tall. You can see here, this is how tall Mahaprabhu was at that time. So he's making the deities according to the size at that time. Very, very beautiful deity. This is Gaur Gadadhar. Gaur Gadadhar is a very selective worship. It's different to Gaur Nitai. When we worship Gaur Nitai, that is more in a preaching mood. Nityananda Prabhu was instructed by Mahaprabhu, and it's described also in Jaivadhamma, that his purpose was to preach this cult of bhakti in Bengal. So it's a preaching. Gadadhar Pandit is more in a mood of those who are entering into remembering Vrindavan. Gadadhar, of course, is directly Sri Radha. But she's covered completely by a mood of dasyaras. All of the followers of Mahaprabhu are in dasyaras. There is no conjugal exchanges in Mahaprabhu's amongst Mahaprabhu's associates. It's all service to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu himself is embracing this mood of dasyaras towards Krishna. He's taking the mood of Shri Radhika, and he's in that mood of service to Krishna, utter service to Krishna. So these beautiful deities of Gaur Gadadhar have very special significance, just like we described yesterday in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Swananda Sukata Kunj. The beautiful deities there are Gaur Gadadhar also. You don't see a lot of Gaur Gadadhar deities around the world actually are manifested in temples. There's not so many of them. There's far more Gaur Nitai deities in the world, because that is the preaching mood. But Gaur Gadadhar is more a meditative internal reflection on the pastimes between Radha and Krishna, even though Gaur Gadadhar themselves are not demonstrating that conjugal mood at all. That would be completely apasidantic to consider that. And there are groups that do consider that. So we should stay far away from that and know Gadadhar Tattva. This Gadadhar Tattva is very profound. When Mahaprabhu is in Puri, Gadadhar is living in Tota Gopinath. Mahaprabhu is staying in the Gambhira. They're quite a bit apart. Mahaprabhu would only visit Tota Gopinath during the day, and Gadadhar would never be there during his highest exhibitions of ecstasy with Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, Lalita and Vishaka, in his moods of tasting Sri Radhika's attraction for Krishna. This Mohan Akya Mahabhav, in separation. It's not Madan. Madan is the meeting. So Mohan is the separation mood. Mahaprabhu is in Puri practically always in a separation mood, demonstrating for the sadhaks who worship Puri Dham as that supreme place of worship, because of their that mood of separation. But we described in the first day of the Parikramā how Puri Dham is not as high as Navadvīpa Dham. So try to understand all these things in conjunction with this manifestation of Gaur Gadadhar, most beautiful, regal, tall deities that are there in Campaka-haṭṭa. And we go there with my Gurudeva, and thousands and thousands I described yesterday or the day before, sometimes 15, 20,000 people would pack into this large garden. It's a very beautiful facility, and there's room for everyone to be there. And we witness and we see these beautiful deities. And Vaninath was satisfied now that Mahaprabhu had manifested. Mahaprabhu manifested to describe 4 deities altogether. And it's described that this Gaur Gadadhar that's worshipped by Vaninath, and the Gaur-Nitai deities that are worshipped by Gauridas Pandit in Ambika Kalna. Gauridas Pandit was is Subalsaka in Krishna Lila. And Mahaprabhu and Nityananda would come to his place. And when he heard that they were leaving, he was in the same desperate mood as Vaninath was. And he was begging them both to remain. Mahaprabhu was so soft and compassionate that he instructed Gauridas Pandit, I will manifest my form, my Vigraha form, which he did. But Gauridas Pandit was not satisfied with that Vigraha form. So Mahaprabhu infused that Vigraha form with his own personality. And then they started to leave. And himself, as the deity, remained with Nityananda. And then again, Gauridas Pandit was lamenting, oh, why are you leaving? And then again, they came back. So this pastime is in Ambika Kalna in connection with Gauridas Pandit. Very wonderful pastime. So you can also go there and see these very, very tall Nityananda and Mahaprabhu Thakurji in Ambika Kalna. And then there's the deity of Vishnu Priya. This was also manifest directly by Mahaprabhu to pacify her young heart at that time when he left, this beautiful Vigraha of himself, of Mahaprabhu. And then there's another deity of Mahaprabhu that was given to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami, when you go to the Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan, there is also a Thakurji of Mahaprabhu, of Sachinanda and Gaurahari. Mahaprabhu had so much affection for Sanatana Goswami. He spends 2 months solidly with him in Varanasi, instructing him. And there's many indications of his absolute affection and love for Sanatana Goswami. So these 4 deities were manifested directly by Mahaprabhu. Only these 4 are described. I haven't read any more. If anyone knows of any more, they can tell me. But these 4 deities are described. There's one small booklet that if you visit this place, this is the book of Campaka-haṭṭa. This is written by the Sevak there. His name is Nityananda Brahmachari. And this person will be there when we would come with our Parikramā party with my Gurudev, and he would speak English. Because then we would come into the second aspect of Campaka-haṭṭa, very famous aspect of Jayadeva Goswami's place of residence. Jayadeva Goswami was born in Kendu-Bilva, which is due east of Navadvīpa. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive. And every year they have a beautiful festival that takes place there. Yes, this is Kendu-Bilva. This is the temple there, which is commemorating Jayadeva Goswami's birth in this place. But Jayadeva Goswami, he was the king at that time, was called Lakshmi Sen. Actually, if you get on top of the fridge by that plug, there's a beautiful picture that I can try and share with you of the this place, Kendu-Bilva, where we're talking about. Because Jayadeva Goswami eventually comes to this, yes, thank you. Can you see that on the screen, something? this is the temple, and that is Krishna and Padmavati, and this is Jayadev Goswami. And I'll tell this pastime because this is, you can take a snap and perhaps post it if you want to. So Jayadev Goswami was a brilliant, very mystical poet. And some authorities say he was in the 13th century, and some say he was in the 9th century. So I can't argue about that. It seems that there are two opinions of his birth, but it was many 9,000 years before Mahaprabhu. And he was residing here in Bengal, and he was writing beautiful poetry. The first beautiful stotra he wrote was the Dasharavatar, the Dasharavatar stotra. He composed this, and Lakshman Sen, who was the ruling king, he was a very devotional personality, and he read this stotra, this Dasharavatar stotra of Jayadev Goswami, and he thought it was so beautifully written that he went in disguise to the house of Jayadev Goswami. And he was wanting to beg him to come and live close to his kingdom's capital, was in the same region as Samudragaḍha had his capital, which was Campaka-haṭṭa, near Campaka-haṭṭa, the garden of Campaka-haṭṭa. But Jayadev Goswami originally refused completely. He was very renounced personality. He lived very simply, and he was a tremendous mystic personality. Yes, this is in Kendu-Bilva, where the festival takes place every year to commemorate the birth of Jayadev Goswami. So, but finally, the king convinced Jayadev Goswami to come and reside in this beautiful garden of champas, Campaka-haṭṭa, Campaka-lattas. And he built him a place there. And Jayadev Goswami, in this place, he writes this Gita Govinda. And this Gita Govinda is very powerful poem that is sung daily today in Jagannath Puri Dham in particular. There's a connection with that, I'll say in a minute. But this beautiful grantha, this Gita Govinda, was composed by Jayadev Goswami here in Campaka-haṭṭa, where we are today. And it's described how this is very interesting pastime, because Jayadev Goswami, when he was writing this and putting a commentary to his Bhagavad Gita simultaneously, he was writing this scripture of Gita Govinda, and he came to the part where it was being revealed in his heart by Krishna directly that Krishna is coming to take the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. Smaragaradha kandanam mama sirasi mandanam dehi pala palavam udaram. This is when Krishna is desiring the lotus dust from the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. Jayadev Goswami, he could not write this. He's a tremendous erudite, mystical personality, but he couldn't write this verse. He didn't have understanding of this parakya, this mood. What is the highest manifestation of Sri Radhika? It's Swadhina Bhartika, when she controls her lover. This is the highest heroine. Radhika has the 8 different heroines. So the highest, topmost heroine, Prasiddha Bhartika, etc., Vipralambada, and the other one, Vasudha, I've got the names. Where's my red book? Give me my red notebook. Quickly. Quickly. Oh, yes, that's it. I don't always remember everything. Yeah. Abhisarika, Vasika, Utkanta, Kandita, Kalahantarika, Swadhina Bhartika, and Prasiddha Bhartika. So these are the 8 heroines of Radhika, and out of the topmost heroine is Swatina Bhartika, when she controls her lover completely. So he couldn't write this line, so he told Padmavati, his wife, to that he was just going to the Ganga to bathe. It's very close by the Ganga here. So he went off to bathe, and almost immediately he comes back, and Padmavati says, "Oh, you've come so quickly." And he says, "Yes, I need to write something more in my commentary." So he's writing in his Gita Govinda this verse exactly, but it's Krishna, of course, who has come in the disguise of Jayadev Goswami, not to shock Padmavati too much, but just to come into their home and to write this verse on the paper and the book, and then he goes again. And then a short while later, then all of a sudden the real Jayadev Goswami comes in. And Padmavati says, "Oh, you were so quick. You've just gone and come back." And he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you just came here before and you just wrote something in your commentary and then you left again." And Jayadev was astonished. What are you talking about? I didn't do that. Then he goes and looks at his book, his Gita Govinda, and he sees this beautiful, elegant writing of the Supreme Lord himself has written this verse. Understand what that means. It means Jayadev Goswami's mood is Aishwarya tinged, even though he's writing the most esoteric descriptions of Radha and Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He could not write that actually Krishna ultimately is submissive to Radhika. This didn't compute with his Aishwarya appreciation. So he's astonished when he reads this verse. This is the verse that he had in his heart, but he couldn't write it. Then he sees that Krishna has actually written it himself. Then he weeps and tells his dear wife, Padmavati, "You just had darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead," because that's how he views Krishna, Govinda, even though he's in Vrindavan. People previous to Mahaprabhu didn't have this conception fully of Madhurya, because they couldn't accept the descriptions in the Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami, which I've said before, of this Parakya Ras. I explained yesterday how Parikshit Maharaj even asked these questions. You know, how does Krishna perform such audacious acts as to dance with other men's wives? How are we supposed to relate to that? And most of the populace, practically all the populace, could not relate to it. It was only when Madhavendra Puri manifested that he was able to relate fully to this Parakya mood. Therefore, he was the first to actually enter that Braj Bhav. But persons like Jayadev Goswami, and I'm going to read a couple of very, very beautiful verses just to give you all an idea of what this Gita Govinda represents, if you haven't already read it. But I'll just, anytime reading these verses are absolutely divine. So this is from verse 10, Act 2. This is just to give us a taste of the speciality of this Gita Govinda, because this is the principal reason why we're glorifying Jayadev Goswami. Because later on in his pastimes, Sachinandan Gaurahari comes in his meditation and he instructs him to go to Nilachal Puri, to go to Puri and do his later pastimes in Puri. And he goes with Padma, he leaves Campaka-haṭṭa and goes to Puri. He leaves his body in Puri finally. But he, of course, takes this Gita Govinda with him and he's chanting this Gita Govinda, and Lord Jagannath is absolutely mesmerized by it, to such a degree where there was a time when he ran through the bushes. His whole form of Lord Jagannath runs through the bushes to listen to these Devi Dasis singing this Gita Govinda. And he actually scratches his cloth. And in the morning when he's back on the altar, all the pujaris that are shocked, why has he torn his cloth? And the king finds out about this, becomes very annoyed, thinking there's been some negligence there. And the king has a dream at that time that actually Jagannath Dev, he went to listen to the recital of Gita Govinda. He so much loves it. So then the king, he ordered at that time that this Gita Govinda must be sung daily in the courtyard of the Nilachal temple in Puri. So this is what took place. And Jayadev Goswami came to Puri and he delivers this Gita Govinda in Puri. So this is his greatness. But let me just read one of these, or a couple of these beautiful verses, just to put us in tune with the moods of Jayadev Goswami. So Krishna, Saki is saying to Sri Radhika, Krishna has neglected you. So why are you increasingly vexed by attachment for him? Jayadev Goswami was in the court of Lakshman Sen, and he was one of the most renowned scholars and poets in his court. He was like the jewel of his courts. So his writing is so sweet and pure and beautiful to hear. It touches the heart. This is why Jagannath Dev ran to hear this recitation. So the Saki is saying that Krishna has neglected you. So why are you increasingly vexed by attachment for him? Why are you still attached to him, even though he's neglecting you? Why don't you just walk away from him? So then Radhika was rebuked in this way by her intimate companion. And Radha replies, my dear friend, Krishna has abandoned me, and now he is enjoying pastimes with ever fresh love with many other young ladies. I know that it is futile to express my love for him. Still, what am I to do? Radhika is responding to the Saki. My attachment for him is so powerful that it will not go away under any circumstances. I just go on enumerating his wonderful qualities. This is the mood of Sri Radhika towards Krishna. When I realize my eminence, my fortune, my eminence, my fortune, I become maddened with ecstasy. She's understanding her immense bliss for Sri Krishna. I cannot be angry with him, even by mistake, and I feel satisfied when I overlook his faults. I ardently long for him at every moment. Saki, I cannot forget him. What am I to do? These are expressions of the most profound love from Radhika towards Krishna. These are the expressions that he's writing. Yet still, he's in a mood of Aishwarya Bhav. So it's not completely what we understand according to the teachings of Mahaprabhu. This accentuates the speciality of Mahaprabhu and his gift in opening out this reality that Krishna is in, when he's in Madhurya, in Braj, he is described as Mugdata. He doesn't know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's ignorant of that. And he's also Sarvagyan. He's also fully knowing that he's the Supreme Lord at the same time. This is the possible and impossible mood that Krishna carries. We can't understand this. And Jayadev Goswami certainly couldn't, because he was only considering Krishna's full Aishwarya mode. So now there's another beautiful, beautiful description here. So this is Act 4, verse 14. And it's saying, in the translation, Jayadev Goswami is saying, her lotus eyes glance in all directions, scattering the rain of her teardrops like water speckled from lotus flowers detached from their stems. So her tears are showering from her eyes, and she's spinning around like a lotus that has become broken from its core, and it's spinning around. Now, my Gurudev writes a commentary to this. My Gurudev had to write a commentary to this Gita Govinda because it's such a popular granta. It's so popular. And my Gurudev knew that so many would interpret it from a more familial point of view without the full support of Shastra. So he, out of his kindness, he gave us this Gita Govinda. And We don't speak about it generally in our public presentations because it's very, very confidential. But for the practicing sadhak, it's the most nectarine literature to actually read and contemplate. We can read a verse while we're chanting, and then we can consider that verse and have a mood of this verse. So from this verse that I've just spoken, my Gurudev's commentary is, her tearful eyes are as charming as blue lotuses, bearing droplets of water. All directions are bound by the unbroken flow of her tears. She's spinning around. Of her flow of her tears that spread out like a net as she twirls around in anticipation of your return, thinking that you could appear from any direction. She's in the cont, she doesn't know which direction Krishna may come, and she's spinning around, these tears are flowing from her eyes, creating like a net. As a lotus flower has no fixed position, once broken from its stem, her eyes do not remain anywhere for more than a moment. But for you, there is no support upon which they might remain. Very beautiful. Consider. She has no support except Krishna. In her entire existence depends on Krishna. That is her entire support. And tattvically, we understand that Krishna is like the fire, and the Shakti, the heat, emanates from the fire. The heat can't exist without the fire. So this is the extremity of that. Śrī Radhika is spreading her tears like a net around her, waiting in anticipation for Krishna. So these are very beautiful. There's one more I can share because I have some time here. So this is at the end of the second act, verse 19. And in my Gurudev's commentary on this is described that there are three types of realization at the time of separation. So Jayadeva Goswami, he's writing about these things in the 12th, 13th century. So a long time before Mahaprabhu has come, but there's still some point or some aspect that is missing. And I've described that this mood of Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, that mood is there. But in Rasa Tattva, Śrī Radhika is the Supreme. In Atma Tattva, Krishna is the Supreme. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam bharatante. He is the supreme controller of all the material and spiritual worlds, is Krishna. So Jayadeva Goswami is sunk in this absolute, like Uddhav. Uddhav is the Jnani Bhakta. Uddhav also has that mood that Krishna is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he's my best friend. He's still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's always that reverence mood, which actually makes an obstruction to the final bliss of Madhurya. So three aspects in separation. There's remembrance. This is called smaranam, remembrance. Then there's internal vision. This is called a spurti. In my Gurudev's commentary I'm reading. And a direct audience, avirbhav. In separation, there's remembrance first, and then there's an internal vision, a spurti, and then there's directly. The spurti is inferior to the direct manifest, direct darshan. The direct darshan is called avirbhav. Śrī Radha first experienced smaranam when her mood intensified to the state of sudipta. What does sudipta mean? We've already described that, these 5 stages of Ashtasattvika bhav's intensity. It starts off with domyata, jwalita, dipta, udipta, and sudipta. These are 5 stages of intensity of the sattvika bhavs. When we hear and appreciate these stages, we realize what extremity of love ultimately is being described. So intense. We cannot, all we can do is hear this at present, and appreciate how extraordinary is this transcendental loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. It's not just love, it's this loving relationship between them. who is embodied in the form of Satchidananda Gaurahari. So intensified to the state of Sudipta, Mahabhav. Pastimes manifested automatically within her heart. So these pastimes are automatically coming in her heart when she's in this extreme state of separation. Now her realization is Shakshad Anubhav, direct experience. She tells her friend, Saki, look, I am laughing and I feel overjoyed to see Govinda graciously present in this forest of Braj, along with the beautiful gopis. She's laughing in her intense stage of separation. The Saki asked, hey, bewildered one, why are you in bliss when Krishna has abandoned you to enjoy with other gopis? Yeah, it seems to be strange. Why is she laughing? And then Radhika replies, this is Jayadeva Goswami, this is my Gurudev's commentary on Jayadeva Goswami's translation. It's more than Jayadeva. Radhika replied, he will become so embarrassed when he notices that I am there. His own guilty consciousness will make him sweat profusely, and his cheeks will become wet with perspiration. When he sees my ecstatic symptoms, when he sees Radhika's ecstatic symptoms, Sattvika bhavs will erupt on his limbs. She's seeing Krishna directly, and she knows that Krishna will also see her directly in this depth of meditation. His flute will slip from his hands in shame. The cowherd girls of Braj have attractive creeper-like eyebrows, but he will repel them with his intimate proximity. With a gesture from his eyebrows, he will just expel all those other gopis that are surrounding him when he sees Radhika is present there. Then his face will become utterly enchanting, enhanced by his mild smile. When I behold my dear most beloved in this way, I will certainly feel the utmost bliss. Saki, when, oh when, will I meet my darling Shri Krishna in this way? How beautiful description. Krishna has been sprung, so to speak, with all the gopis, and Radhika has suddenly entered his presence. He chases all the gopis away, and he's feeling embarrassed in front. Radhika has her mood to increase Krishna's happiness of service when she enters a state of man. This state of man that Radhika has, it increases Krishna's opportunity to serve her. It's this service that is the highest bliss of Krishna, and Radhika knows that. That's why she goes into man. There's nothing from her side to gain from man. It just means she has to be separated from her beloved. But she knows that by going into this man, it's going to satisfy Krishna so much. So all these leelas go on and on and on in Braj, and we appreciate this mood and control of Radhika when she is. We have the description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when Krishna is asking Brinda, Radhika is asking Brinda, where is Krishna? And Brinda Devi says, he's in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. And Krishna and Radhika says, what is he doing? And Brinda replies, he's dancing. And then Radhika responds, who is his dancing tutor? Who is his dancing teacher? And Vrinda Devi responds, you, Shri Radhika. He's seeing you in every leaf, in every bush, in every atom around him. She is his teacher, and a teacher has to have a stick to control. That's why sannyasis have these sticks, danda. One of the reasons. Actually, the danda is to control the sannyasi himself, to beat himself. This is how my Gurudev described it. To beat any material desires that come. But still, Radhika has her stick of man, and that pleases Krishna more than the reverent hymns of the Vedas, etc. So we hear all these beautiful pastimes. So this is just a little snippet, we can say, from, I have one more, I have another few minutes. So I'll read it just to see. This is verse 6 on page 70. Oh, no, sorry. I'm so sorry. This is from Gopi Gita. I'm just reading from my notes here. No. But these are some of the beautiful pastimes inscribed in this Gita Govinda, which we regularly listen to and hear and glorify. All the devotees, they glorify Jayadev Goswami. For this Gita Govinda is what we glorify him for. This is his principal gift to the world. Mahaprabhu, he relishes this Gita Govinda himself. He loves it as he loves Bilvamangala Thakur's this no, Bilvamangala Thakur. I'll get it in a minute. Anyway, he loves these particular verses, and he would read these verses. Krishna Karanamrita, someone is saying. Yes. Krishna Karanamrita, correct. I gave it to you yesterday. Yeah. Krishna Karanamrita. From when I hear from Balabhadra Prabhu, I know he's on it. He's there. Very good, Balabhadra Prabhu. In Wales, UK. So Mahaprabhu would relish this in the company of Lalita and Vishaka, Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar. Gadadhar, as I've said before, would never be there at this time. If Gadadhar had been there, how could Mahaprabhu have manifested the mood of Radha if she was sitting right in front of him when he was diving into these deep areas of meditation, these deep areas of separation mood, if Radhika had actually been directly there. So she's never there in the Gambhira. So we have to understand Gadadhar Thakur, because here in Campaka-haṭṭa we have Gaur Gadadhar. These very, very, very beautiful deities, large, wonderful deities. Okay, so my time is almost up, but I'll stop now. If anyone has any question at all, I'd be happy to think about it. And if I know anything, I can say, but I'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhaveva patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavena mama. Samudragaḍha ki jai, Campaka-haṭṭa ki jai. Now we're going to Vidyānagara, which is in Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa, the island of seasons. So far we've covered 7 islands, then we've covered 6 islands. Now we're going to the 7th, which is Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa. Tomorrow we'll go to Janadvīpa and Modandvīpa. That'll complete the 9 islands of Navadvīpa. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhaveva patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Okay, so thank you, Maharaj. It was such a very, very amazing description of the places. Feels like we're going there. We're there in person ourselves. So now we are handing over the mic to Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikunth Maharaj, and he's going to take us to Vidyānagara.
Well, I'm not sure. Like in the Navadvīpa Mahatmya, Nityananda Prabhu takes Jiva Goswami first to Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and then he goes to Vidyānagara. But we, on our Parikramā, if you look at the map, we're going from the Campaka-haṭṭa and all that, then we go up to Vidyānagara, and then the last place we go to is generally Rādhā-kuṇḍa. So I'm not sure how to do this.
It is described that Jiva Goswami came with Nityananda first to Campaka-haṭṭa. It's describing there also. He came first to Campaka-haṭṭa, and then they went to Vidyānagara and Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa. That's what my understanding was.
Well,
but it could be in a different order.
Yeah, in the book, it's a different order. They go first to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. I thought, well, you've been speaking on so much beautiful Rasa Tattva, Srimati Radhika and all that. If we go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa right now, that mood will be preserved and perhaps a little bit embellished. And then we can go to Vidyānagara. So, I think we'll just, tag along with Nityananda Prabhu and Jiva Goswami.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think there'd be any harm in that, right?
No,
So-
no harm at all. This is a virtual parikramā. We can do what we like, Maharaj.
Yeah, so,
No constraints.
right. So let me offer my obeisance. Ajnana timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshula Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin by offering our most humble, respectful, grateful obeisance under the lotus feet of our beloved gurus, our guides, our guardians, unto Shri Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Abhayacharnavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Shri Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupa Nuguru Varga, all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, our Guru Varga representing divine Nityananda Prabhu, the one to first reveal the pastime places of Mahaprabhu to Jiva Goswami, who had not been able to be in Śrī Navadvīpa during that time. And this book, envisioned internally, and then compiled by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this Śrī Navadvīpa Mahatmya, the glories of Śrī Navadvīpa, tells the story of their travels together. And so as we went on our parikramā, the first time I went, well, we didn't go on very much, but we went in 1976, and we went to some places, didn't understand anything. I didn't know what was going on. Nevertheless, we went there, and the seeds of those places are planted. And if you go in a respectful and eager mood, those seeds will grow and grow. And the same in Vrindavan. After that, we went to Vrindavan. And I still remember that vividly. It was nice that we went to Navadvīpa first for Gaur Purnima, because then we got the mercy of Mahaprabhu and were allowed entrance into the divine Vrindavan. And we went to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. I remember going to Rādhā-kuṇḍa and the impressions which remain there to this day. So when we're doing this, pray deeply to our gurus, to all of our gurus, all of our Guru Varga, that they bestow deep attachment and love for these places. So, Nityananda and Jiva Goswami are going all throughout. This is the last part of their parikramā, and near the end, not quite. And after going to Campaka-haṭṭa and these places, they go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins with the prayer we always pray, Jaya Sri Chaitanya Chanda Jaya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Jaya Gadadhara Srivasari Bhakta Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Laya Jaya Navadvīpa Dhamavara. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Chandra, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Acharya and Sri Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to Srivas and the other devotees. All glories to the house of Jagannath Mishra. All glories to the topmost holy abodes, Śrī Navadvīpa. So before this, I scanned the Parikramā book. I looked at this and some other things, and I thought, this is so clear and nicely done. I'm just going to, rather than kind of paraphrase it, I'm going to read these verses for your pleasure. And I know I'm sitting in the temple room here, We have Shri Radha Radharaman, we have Lalita and Vishaka, we have Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev are here, and for their pleasure and for yours. So, all the devotees got up early in the morning, lovingly calling out the names of Sri Gauranitai. So that's us. We're getting up. Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Together with Nityananda Prabhu, they proceeded toward Campaka-haṭṭa, blissfully performing kirtan. As they left Campaka-haṭṭa, Sri Vaninath also accompanied Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Sri Vaninath thought, okay, so he's going to think this should be our thought too, right? When in my life will that day ever come that I blissfully go on Parikramā with Sri Nitai Chanda to the house of Sriman Mahaprabhu in Mayapur? Very soon, we have that eagerness. That's what's nice about this, even this virtual Parikramā, because these moods are being, opened. If we open our heart to these moods, they'll enter there. And this is the price. It's not by being great scholars or even, deeply steeped in sadhana, but without awakening this internal greed and urgency, these higher moods will not come. So of course we have to do sadhana and everything else, but we're really also trying to awaken this greed. Krishna Bhakti Rasata Bhavati. So, there's this verse by Sri Ramananda Roy, the price, Tatra Loyam, Apimulyam Ekalam, only by this greed and this intelligence and concentration infused, by that mood for this kind of devotion, this kind of love. So, very soon they arrived in Ratupura. And seeing the beauty of that village, Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, now we have arrived in the supremely attractive Ṛtrudvīpa. Here all the trees stand with their heads bowed down. The breeze blows gently and the flowers blossom in all directions. The humming of bees and the exquisite fragrance of flowers intoxicate the mind of travelers coming and going on the path. This is just like a description of Vrindavan when Krishna is going with the cowherd boys and the cows, and all the trees laden with fruit and flowers are bowing down from the weight, offering their obeisance to Krishna and his friends. And now, in this beautiful Ṛtrudvīpa, Nityananda and his associates are coming, and these divine trees and creepers are doing the same. As he spoke, Sri Nityananda Prabhu became completely absorbed in ecstatic emotions and began to speak like a madman. Quickly, bring my singa. It's like a horn, right? Buffalo horn. The calves are going far away. Kanaya, that's Krishna, right? He's still sleeping at home. Childlike Krishna has still not come. Subal, where are you? Sridham, where are you? I cannot go alone to graze the cows. Loudly shouting, Kanai, Kanai! The extremely powerful Sri Nityananda Prabhu began to leap high into the air. Seeing his ecstatic emotions, the devotees immediately made a request at his lotus feet. Oh, Nityananda Prabhu, your brother, Sri Gaurachandra, is not here right now. Okay. Not here right now. That Sri Gaurhari has taken sannyas now and gone to Nilachala, leaving us here like beggars. Hearing this, Sri Nityananda Prabhu became sad and began to weep and roll on the ground. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, for what unfortunate purpose has my brother Kanai left us all? He's referring to his brother as Gaurhari now. Why has he taken sannyas and gone to Nilachala? Without him, I will not remain alive. I will jump in the Jamuna. Saying this, he fell to the ground unconscious. So why is he there? Why isn't he with Gaurhari? In Krishna Lila, Baladeva and Krishna are practically inseparable. There's hardly any time when they're not together. During the Kurukshetra war, Baladeva went off at Krishna's request so there wouldn't be a disturbance because he was somewhat favorable to Duryodhana. Wonderful Leela while he was gone. But in Mahaprabhu's Leela, Nityananda is sent away for long periods of time. For what purpose? To preach, to spread his message, to fulfill his manupishta. Even he told him, don't always come to the Rath Yatra, when everybody came. So Nityananda Prabhu, as guru, he's fulfilling the highest purpose. And so in his separation, is he separated? No, he's meeting Viraha, special meeting. That separation, that Viraha meaning a special kind of meeting. So that's also a lesson for us, that if we're fulfilling the desire and order of our guru, we're never separated. We're never separated. So sensing Sri Nityananda Prabhu's powerful, ecstatic emotions, everyone started Harinam Sankirtan. When Sri Nityananda Prabhu did not arise, even after about 4 dandas, an hour and a half, all the devotees began to sing the names of Sri Gora, hearing the name of Sri Gora Hari. Sri Nityananda Prabhu got up and said, this is Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Sri Gora Hari used to perform kirtan here in the afternoon with his devotees. Now, as Baladev, Nityananda Prabhu doesn't go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa, but as Nityananda Prabhu, he can relish all of the different rasas and moods, just as Krishna is relishing the mood and even the identity of Sri Radha. Nityananda Prabhu is able to, as a devotee, relish the mood of her younger sister, Ananga Manjari, and be there. Ananga Manjari has a special place in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. In the very center of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, there's a special island, which we heard about yesterday. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was living in that place also, Ananda Sukara Kunj. So, Gaur-Hari used to perform kirtan here in the afternoon with his devotees. So now he's remembering Mahaprabhu. He says, behold the beauty of Shyamakund, which attracts the minds of people throughout the universe. At the many nearby places are the groves of the Sakis. Sri Gaur-Hari used to come here at midday. Absorbed in chanting the holy names, he would make everyone joyful in distributing prayam to them. Oh, brother, there's no place like this in the 3 worlds. Here, devotees worship the Supreme Lord. A person who resides here attains the treasure of prayam, and his heart is thus soothed. That day, all the devotees stayed in that place, continuously chanting Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's name and becoming drowned in prayam. They spent the entire day and night in Ṛtrudvīpa, worshipping Sri Chaitanya Chandra. Isn't that interesting? They're at Rādhā-kuṇḍa, but they're in Rādhā-kuṇḍa in Navadvīpa Dham at Ṛtrudvīpa, and their mood is that they're connecting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? Who is Radha and Krishna combined. They're experiencing and relishing mellows of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, but by worshiping Mahaprabhu. So many people try to go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa in Vrindavan because he says, here devotees worship the Supreme Lord at Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and anyone who resides here attains the treasure of prayam, and his heart is thus soothed, right? And so many devotees try to go to Vrindavan and jump to Rādhā-kuṇḍa because it's the topmost place. But are they really in Rādhā-kuṇḍa, right? Or what are they carrying with them? What kind of baggage? What kind of mind, right? It's certainly the topmost place of bhajan, but we have to go there under guidance, under protection of our Guru Varga, with the proper, appropriate mood, right? And outside of the protection and order of Sri Guru, then we're not really there, and there's opportunity for offense, bad association, right? The wrong ideas may come, and one may try to jump and internally imagine one's oh, now I'm a Manjari servant of Radhika. I'm witnessing Radha and Krishna's sublime Leela here. No. And what's created in your mind and heart is simply a material conception. And whatever we meditate on materially, what does it do? It produces material desire. Gurudev would say, you won't get the spiritual benefit, you'll just create material desire. So you have to be somewhat mature and do it properly, right? I know devotees that do it properly, and I know devotees that do it improperly. That when you do it improperly, there's rarely any good result, right? Chaitanya Maharaj was there, but what did he do? He spent years in Navadvīpa before that. Where? In Godrum, under the protection of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, right? So, and then the next day, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu arrived at Śrī Vidyānagara, dancing all the way. So, I'll read the last two verses, but before we go to Vidyānagara, I want to linger at Rādhā-kuṇḍa a little bit. When the devotees saw Vidyānagara's beauty, which attracts even the minds of all the sages, they all experienced the blossoming of great joy. The lotus feet of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu and Śrī Janava-devi are the only treasure of this destitute Bhaktivinoda. Holding the lotus feet of the devotees, he sings the glorification of Nadia and begs only to have the wealth of Sri Krishna Bhakti. So with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, back at this time, in the late 1800s, he's living there, and he's wandering the paths, the forests, the farmlands, all of these areas, and these spurtis, these revelations are coming into his heart. And with the utmost humility and gratitude, he's praying. Śrī Nityananda, Śrī Janava-devi, his Shakti, please give me your mercy. So these revelations were imparted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sri Rupa Goswami, well, obviously to Sri Swarup Damodar, Roy Ramananda, and by Mahaprabhu, by Swarup Damodar, by Roy Ramananda, Rupa Goswami was invested with all of this. And he was living in Vrindavan, traveling to these places, and those revelations were coming to him. Mahaprabhu was the first to rediscover Radha-kuṇḍa and Shyamakund in Vrindavan in his own time, prior to the Goswamis going there, right? And he was looking everywhere for them. And we came to this area. He was asking all the elders about it. They said, we don't know about that, but there are two small ponds. What was it? Gaurikat and Shamkat? Is that it? Two little ponds. And he said, oh, one means golden, one means blackish. And he went to those little ponds and he realized this is the place of Radha-kuṇḍa and Shyamakund. It's a very mystical experience he had. And our Guru Varga also, Raghunath Das living there, Rupa Goswami having so many pastimes. But Rupa Goswami wrote in his Upadesh Amrita. This Upadesh Amrita was a concise 11 verses from the very beginning to the topmost conclusions of perfected bhajan, right? And after explaining that the essence of all advice is that one should live in Braj either by body in a purified and qualified state, or by mind, continually chanting, hearing, remembering the pastimes of the Lord, right? And the Lord's beloved devotees, right? Both. And then he gives a sequence. Because prior to Mahaprabhu, the conceptions were all mishmash. And we'll hear about that more when we get to Vidyānagara. But he said in verse 9, I'm going to give you Srila Prabhupada's translation. It's so appropriate for us. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. This is a very condensed, verse with this conception that was revealed in detail by Sanatana Goswami and Brihad Bhagavatamrita, but the gradation of perfection, right? So Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes, going higher and higher here. And above all, the super excellent Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prem of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Rādhā-kuṇḍa, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So we should think that when we're hearing this pastime, remembering Nityananda Prabhu Jiva Goswami, we're hearing it with the mood of service. We're trying to enter into the service of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, right? Not to enjoy it. And when we first went, well, when I first went in 1976, devotees had gone before, but Srila Prabhupada had said, you can't bathe in it. You can only take the water on your head, right? And so devotees maintained a respectful attitude. In 1976, there was a huge Parikramā that went. We had a whole 747 or whatever it is, the biggest jet of the time, filled with devotees. The whole thing was filled. And we went to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. He said, this year I'm allowing you to bathe in there. And so I was at a distant corner with one godbrother, and we went in, and even at that stage, we got some special mercy. It was so incredible, that experience. I'm not going to relate it. But then all of a sudden I heard this huge roar and yow and shouting and splashing, and a bunch of young brahmacharis were having a race, a swimming race across Rādhā-kuṇḍa, shouting and hollering and hooting and hollering. And I thought, what the heck? Even then I could understand, I don't think this is appropriate. And when Srila Prabhupada heard, he was so angry and he said, no more bathing in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. You're not qualified. So you have to enter under the guidance, under the protection, how to go there with the appropriate mood, right? So Rupa Goswami is saying, intelligent person with the mood of service going to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. And then he says, in the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, and here we go, and this is going to be described in Vidyānagara also, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Okay, right? Varnashrama-chavataha purushena parakpanam, right? Ramananda Roy says, do your varnashram duties properly. This will please the Lord. But out of many such persons who are advanced in knowledge, jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. Right? And then he says, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and then Jnana Prayasa Mudapasyanamanta Eva, one who is completely free from mental speculation and is taking their jnana from self-realized souls, then that person is much higher, right? They can take to devotional service. Mahaprabhu says, yes, that's good, but go on. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prem, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. And the gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. And among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna, and her kunda is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis, who then will not reside at Rādhā-kuṇḍa and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, render loving service to the divine couple, Śrī Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakalya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Rādhā-kuṇḍa are the most fortunate people in the universe, right? So very beautiful conception. I believe in his purport that Srila Prabhupada was going to quote, it's either in this verse or the next verse, No. Ah, here it is. Yata, this is from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Jata Radha Priya Vishnos Tasyan Kundam Priyam Tata. Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Balaba. Just as Srimati Radhika is dear to the Supreme Lord Krishna, so her bathing place, Rādhā-kuṇḍa, is equally dear to Krishna. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as the Lord's most beloved. Right? And then he concludes, Rupa Goswami, by saying, of the many objects of favored delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Rādhā-kuṇḍa is very rarely attained, even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. I have to think that I'm an ordinary devotee, right? I want to be an exceptional devotee, but right now, quite ordinary. Actually, more like Vaishnav Prai, semblance of a Vaishnav, aspiring. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. Well, I bathed more than once, and I bathed under the guidance and in the company of a pure devotee, right? Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. Why am I not fully aroused in prema? Because I'm bathing, really bathing, with realization, with the mood. Nevertheless, that act alone, we're on the path, and it will result in complete fruition. Love of God, love of prema, in this mood will certainly manifest. Now, I want you to go, if you have pictures, if you go to page 150 of the Braj Mandal Parikramā book, you can see a picture of Rādhā-kuṇḍa and a picture of Śyāma-kuṇḍa. What time is it? I think we have time. There's a pastime of them manifesting. And of course, they're eternal in Vrindavan, but they manifested in a very sweet and wonderful way. That Krishna and Radhika were sporting in this area, right? This very confidential area, when the terrifying bull demon Aristasura came. Aristasura was huge. And he'd come to obviously kill Krishna. And he had a body so massive, he was tearing up the forest. He was threatening all the bulls, cows, everybody. And when he came in that area, this Rādhā-kuṇḍa area where Radha and Krishna are sporting, Krishna became very angry with him, right? And he saw him. And Aristasura saw him, saw the description, knew who he was, and Krishna chastised him very strongly, and then the bull charged, right? And Krishna, like a boy still, maybe at this time, maybe 10 years old. And so very beautiful, very soft. And Aristasura, gigantic bull, as high as trees, as, the tail touching clouds and snorting. You ever hear the sound of an enraged bull? Terrifying. There's nothing more powerful than a enraged bull. They can even take on grizzly bears and giant predators. So powerful. And he comes roaring and charging at Krishna, right? Krishna very calmly stands there. And when the bull comes at him, grabs him by the horns and throws him into the air, right? And sends him flying hundreds of yards. The bull goes flying through the air, lands, and he's unconscious for a bit. Stirs, turns, wakes up. So now super enraged, right? And he turns around, he comes charging again. And this time, Krishna grabs a horn and rips it out of his head, right? Rips it out of his head. Giant horn. You ever seen a Texas Longhorn bull? They've got horns in the size of that bull, like 10 feet wide, as long as their whole body. Huge, terrifying horns. Like that. like a huge, long club. And he grabs, he starts beating this bull with it, beating him into the ground, right? But he's not using weapons, right? He's not using any, arrows or clubs. He's just using that bull's own horn. Beats him into the ground, almost totally unconscious. Then he jumps on him and he starts stomping on him. And he's stomping on him like you would stomp on clothing, like a washerwoman, right? It's just and as he stomps on him, that this bull loses his life. Very sweetly, though. It's described that, by Bilvamangal, that Krishna's killing demons is very sweet. And Radhika's there, and when she sees this, she calls out very happily, Hari, Hari, right? They're not disturbed by the gore and the blood and everything else, and they're experiencing the mood of sweetness. Aishvarya is there to this extraordinary degree. I mean, who even the demigods could not oppose this demon. But Krishna, in his own sweet way, just destroyed this demon, and all the gopis, oh, look what our Krishna's done. And then Krishna's sauntering over like the great hero that he is, and he wants to be, pleasured and appreciated by, these beautiful gopis who he did this for, to protect them, right? But what do they do? What does Radhika do? Get away from us. What? I just killed this demon. What are you saying? You killed a cow. You killed a bull. The bull is the very representation of Dharma. He wasn't a bull. He was a demon in the form of a bull. Nevertheless, he's in the form of a bull. The greatest sin you've done. We won't go near you until you've been cleansed of this sin. Well, how do I cleanse myself of the sin? You have to both bathe in all the holy tirthas, all over, right? And Krishna says, oh, and they think they've defeated him then, because how long would it take to go all over India to all the holy tirthas, right? Krishna says, okay, I'll do that. And he walks a little bit a ways, and he, either with his flute or his heel, I think his heel, he stomps it into the ground, and a beautiful depression is made. Big depression is made. And then he calls all the personalities of the tirthas, and they all come before him. The gopis don't realize this, but for them, the tirthas, he's their worshipable Lord. They know that. And he says, please, with your holy waters, fill my pond. And they do. And then Krishna bathes in it, and he says, now I've bathed, and he's so proud. And he says, and now if you like, you can also bathe in my kunda, my pond, in all the holy rivers. And Radhika and her friends say, what? We don't want to bathe in your pond, filled with all your sins. And they insult him. We'll make our own pond. And they take their bracelets and they begin to dig a pond very quickly. They dig their own beautiful big square pond. And then they say, the tirthas say, oh, we would like to fill your pond with our waters. And she says, we don't want your water. And they went and she ordered all her friends to go to Manasi Ganga and collect water there. So they make a giant chain of gopis with pots, like a fireman's chain, like the Gundicha temple cleansing. And they're filling it up. And the tirthas are very unhappy because they know who's Radhika, the supreme goddess of fortune, and they approach her very humbly. Krishna may be arrogant and proud, but the tirthas, they came in a very humble way, said, oh, please accept our service. Please accept the waters that we've come to bring. And softened by their very humble and sweet prayers, Radhika says, okay. And then a little channel comes between her kunda and Krishna's, and they fill up hers, right? And this becomes an extraordinary pastime places. All the Astasakis have special kunjas on each part. If you look at that map, you'll see that what is it? Gurudev describes the what do you call it? The north of Rādhā-kuṇḍa, it's the Kunja of Lalita Devi, right? In the north and the center. Lalitanadada. And it's shaped like a golden 8-petaled lotus. And the northeast is Vishaka Nandadara. And her, it's also bejeweled, and it's like a 16-petaled lotus, Vishaka Sakis. And the east is Chitrasakis, Kunja, and it's an amazing variety of forms and colors, Gurudev says. And the southeast, Kunja of Indoleka Saki, and it's like an 8-petaled lotus made of diamonds. And in the south is the Kunja of Campaka-haṭṭa Saki, like a golden lotus. And southwest, the lotus-like Kunja of Rangadevi, and it's inlaid with blue sapphires. And Tungavidya has her Kunja in the west, and it looks like a lotus made of red rubies. And in the northwest lies Anandadada, or Sudevi's Kunja, the lotus-shaped Kunja, Sudevi, inlaid with beautiful green emeralds. 16-petaled lotus. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And then Ananga Manjari, she has her own place, and it's like a 16-petaled lotus inlaid with moonstones, also known as Svananda Sukara Kunja. And that one is in the middle. All right. Remember, when we go there, there's a place on the edge of Rādhā-kuṇḍa with a little bhajan kuti where Janava Thakurani would sit and do her bhajan, right, looking out. Now, across from that, around Shyamakund are the kunjas of his very dear sakas, right? Madhumangal, Ujjvala, Arjun, Gandharva, who else? Bringa, Dakshana, Kokil, Subal, Vidyānagara. They all have kunjas, but they donated them to the Sakis, right? They don't go to Rādhā-kuṇḍa, right? So this Rādhā-kuṇḍa is so sacred and so confidential that even though in other parts of Braj, the gopis may always be on the lookout in case some relative or elder or kutila or, anybody might come and catch them in their pastimes, not at night, but during the day. In the day at Rādhā-kuṇḍa, their pastimes there are completely undisturbed. Nobody can enter that place except Krishna and Radhika and her Sakis, right? Not even Chandravali goes there, right? So that is Rādhā-kuṇḍa. I mean, that's the subject matter of so much tattva, so much philosophy we could discuss, so many beautiful pastimes, but we have to run along now and go to Vidyānagara. And in his descriptions, Nityananda Prabhu gives, because this is the place where all the personifications of knowledge, all the different personalities in charge of all the different aspects of Vedic knowledge reside. This is the original place. And you're going to find out so many amazing things go there. When we go there, we usually go there after we've gone to the places in Campaka-haṭṭa. And there's a big wall around it, and you go in, and there's some trees surrounded by little sitting places, and then there's a small temple on one side. And it's packed earth. It can be a little dusty there and hot, but it's it's an amazing place, Usually we go there, I think, after lunch. Every year when we were with Gurudev, we would go to the place of Premananda Prabhu's family, and they would host us and serve us. Oh, also, one other thing, right near Rādhā-kuṇḍa, on the path as we go there, there's a house belonging to one of Gurudev's disciples' family. His name's Hare Krishna, Bengali devotee, sings so sweetly, so nicely. And one time, we were doing a small parikram. I think Sri Dandi Maharaj was with me at that time. We did our own small parikram that year. Brajanath, Sri Dandi Maharaj, just a few others. And we stopped at their house because Brajanath knew them, because every year Gurudev would go there. And before he went to Rādhā-kuṇḍa, he would sit down there and he would have his lunch, because we would take lunch at Rādhā-kuṇḍa and they would host him. So we just showed up to say hi, and in typical extraordinary, fashion of Dhamvasis, Indian culture, they immediately cooked. And within a very short time, they had made prasad for all of us. Very wonderful. Such a mood of love and affection. So anyway, walking now to Vidyānagara. All glories to Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa, all glories to Śrī Nityananda, all glories to Śrī Advaitacharya Prabhu, all glories to Śrī Gadadhar Pandit, all glories to Srivas Pandit, all glories to Navadvīpa, Śrī Navadvīpa, the ocean of Kirtan. Arriving in Vidyānagara, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu began to explain the real nature of that place to Śrī Jiva. Nityananda Prabhu says, even at the time of annihilation, this eternal Dham, Śrī Navadvīpa, which has the form of an 8-petaled lotus flower, remains pure. All the incarnations of Sri Bhagavan and innumerable fortunate living entities stay in one section of that lotus. You go to this place, it's Vidyānagara, and to us, it just looks like this kind of small enclave. Like I said, a little dusty, not so amazing in any way, but all of these personalities are there eternally. In his Matsya incarnation, the Lord brought the Vedas to this Vidyānagara, which is situated within Ṛtrudvīpa. That story in the Bhagavatam with the flood and the Lord, this Matsya incarnation bringing the personified Vedas in a boat. This is where they came. And he says, because all kinds of knowledge, Vidya, reside here, under the shelter of the Vedas, the place has become famous by the name Vidyānagara, right? Nagara means like the village, right? Or the place of. Vidya. When Brahma again became inclined to create, he became fearful to see the annihilation. Seeing Brahma fearful, the Supreme Lord bestowed mercy upon him. As a result, Brahma was able to offer prayers to him at this very special place. As soon as Brahma opened his mouth to offer prayers, the most beautiful Saraswati Devi appeared on his tongue. This is not the Saraswati of this world. There's a goddess of this world who can, like a demigoddess, who can bestow great knowledge, but this is Shuddha Saraswati, right? Saraswati Shakti Peye Deva Chaturmukha. By the potency bestowed by Saraswati Devi, the four-headed Brahma, overjoyed, offered prayers to Sri Krishna. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, O Jiva, at the time of creation, Maya Devi resides in the material world with the three modes of material nature, right? On the other side of the Viraja River. We've been hearing that tattva over many days. Interesting how it's all interwoven, right? We have to understand this tattva to appreciate and contemplate the nature of the Dham completely. The sages endeavor untiringly to reveal true knowledge within this universe, which is manifested by Maya. They're looking for true knowledge and the universe manifested by Mahamaya. Taking shelter of this Sharda pit, the abode of Saraswati Devi, the sages defeat ignorance. Very wonderful place. Why? When they have learned the 64 kinds of knowledge, the sages preach that knowledge throughout the world. In this place, sages can study any type of knowledge according to their respective desires. Now we're going to hear there are many kinds of knowledge, right? From the basic to the topmost. So why are these different kinds of knowledge in Navadvīpa if they're not the topmost knowledge? Why are they taking shelter here? What benefit, what purpose do they serve? He says, by the mercy of Śrī Narad, he's going to describe them all and who is the person in charge. By the mercy of Śrī Narad, Śrī Valmiki came here and received a taste for transcendental poetry, right? Like the poetry of the Ramayana. At this place, Dhanvantari received the Ayurveda, and Vishwamitra and others learned Dhanurvidya. That's the military arts, right? Vishwamitra was that great king who, being defeated by, was it Vasishta Muni? I can't remember which Muni. Anyway, realized that what's the point? I don't have powers as a king like these rishis, these Brahma rishis have. So he said, I think I'd rather be a Brahma rishi. But he still had desires. And so he had to go through these different stages of practice and purification. But then he became a great purified soul and had relationships with Lord Ram, right? The sages, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, also learned how to recite the Vedic mantras. The Shaunaka Rishi was the head of the sages of Naimisharanya, who inquired from Sutta Goswami, right? The Lord of the demigods, Mahadev, expounded Tantra here. Okay. So what kind of Tantra did Narad, the Narada Pancharatra? Tantra means rules and regulations. Modern day, people think Tantra means these dark arts for mystic power, better sex life, this and that. There are Tantras in ignorance, passion, and goodness, and pure goodness. So the real Tantras are those practices which lead and to the perfection of devotion. So at this place, on the request of the sages, Brahma manifested the 4 Vedas from his 4 mouths. How interesting, right? Residing at this place, so Brahma didn't teach them on his own planet, didn't teach them from the lotus flower, he taught them, he came here. This earthly planet is a very important place because this is where Krishna's Bhoma Vrindavan and his Bhoma Navadvīpa, Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa, their eternal dhams manifest here. So this is not a mundane place. So Brahma came to teach at this place, the 4 Vedas. Residing at this place, Kapila created Sankhya philosophy, not the atheistic Sankhya philosophy, but the Sankhya, the deliberation on the nature of reality that leads to understanding the difference between matter and spirit, right? And then gradually understanding spirit in gradated ways. Sri Gautam Rishi manifested logic, nyaya, and tarka, argument. And those also have a role. Okay, ordinarily, Navadvīpa is filled of nyayiks and tarkika kind of people who are using these just for mundane purposes. And they have their source here, right? Going to hear something about that, though. Because Mahaprabhu, he showed these were ultimately irrelevant, but he used them for a purpose. So what are we going to hear? At this place, the sage Campaka-haṭṭa manifested Vaisheshika philosophy, and Patanjali manifested Yoga Shastra. Right? Jayamini Rishi manifested Mimamsa Shastra, and Sri Vedavyas manifested the Puranas and other scriptures here. The 5 sages, headed by Narad, manifested the Pancharatra to teach the living entities about sadhana, the practice of devotional service. The Upanishads stayed in this forest grove and worshipped Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu for a long time. Remaining concealed from their vision, Sri Gaurahari told them, your hearts are polluted by understanding Bhagavan to be formless, Nirakara, right? You will not attain me in your form as Shrutis. But when you take birth as my associates, you will witness my manifest pastimes. Then you both, the Upanishads and the Shrutis, will glorify me. Right? These are not the same ones that saw Lord Ram, right? Those persons were allowed to take birth as gopis, but the personifications of the Upanishads and different Shrutis, that's like a post, right? Different people. So these were doing this, they were very fortunate to do their meditation here. And they were blessed by Gaur-Hari. You would get to take birth during my pastimes and get the highest goal. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, this same point is made. When Gopakumar went to Satyaloka, the planet of Lord Brahma, he was ascending through the different levels of the universe and encountering the different kinds of meditation, yajna, sacrifice practices of different kinds of sages. And he finally got to Brahmalok, but Brahma had to leave. I can't remember why he left for some time. And so Gopakumar was given the post. He became Lord Brahma, right? And he held a great conference and he invited all the personified Vedas to come and explain their conception of the highest truth. And the Upanishads were speaking on and on and on, and they were largely speaking about Brahm Tattva, the impersonal conception of the Lord, not Mayavad, but Brahm. And this is going on, and the personification of Srimad Bhagavatam just became very impatient and disgusted and walked out of the conference, stormed out. What is this, Brahm? And left. And Gopakumar, as Brahma, chased after him and said, wait, please, I want to hear from you. And so he convinced Srimad Bhagavatam to come back and speak. Right? And he spoke and, of course, established those complete and perfect precepts. So you can be, so then, after hearing from Gaur-Hari that, they're locked into this very inferior state, but they'll take birth with him, hearing this, the Shrutis became stunned and secretly remained in this place waiting for the age of Kali to come. This blessed Kali Yuga is the essence of all other ages because Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared in this age. Knowing that Sri Gauranga Sundara would perform his scholastic pastimes, his Vidya Leela at this place, Brihaspati took birth here, along with all his associates. Brihaspati, the chief of the demigods, and even he is tinged by the limits of impersonal conception. Right? This is very profound. You would be surprised, but that's how rare a true understanding of Krishna in his personal form is. So Sri Vasudeva Sarvabhauma is himself Brihaspati. He tried his utmost to please Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Sri Brihaspati knew that his Lord would enact his scholastic pastimes on this earth in Navadvīpa. Therefore, thinking, why do I have to stay in Svarga? He became dejected. He abandoned the assembly of Indra and gladly took birth near Vidyānagara. His associates also took birth in many places nearby. Sarvabhauma Mahashaya opened a school here in Vidyānagara and began teaching. Later on, he began to think, I may lose Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu if I become entangled in the network of dry speculative knowledge. For this reason, he performed a particular pastime. Before the advent of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he left his students in Nadia and went to another place. He thought, if I am a servant of Sri Gaurahari, he will certainly bestow his mercy upon me and give me his association. Thinking like this, he went to Nilachala and spread the influence of scriptures that delineate Mayavad philosophy. He became the chief teacher of all the Shankarite sannyasis, right? Here, Sri Gaurachandra, on the pretense of performing scholastic pastimes, jokingly, that is, easily defeated the students of Sri Sarvabhauma. Right, later on, Mahaprabhu went to Nilachala and Sarvabhauma saw him there, and he'd heard about him, he knew who he was, but still covered by this Yogamaya was thinking, oh, this sannyasi is so attractive, but he doesn't know any philosophy. He's just, chanting. And he's so beautiful and young, it's so dangerous for him at this time. I should teach him. And then there's that beautiful Leela where he taught him for 7 days, right? And at the end, all about Vedanta Sutra and everything. At the end, Mahaprabhu would not ask a single question, although he'd been attentive. And Sarvabhauma said, I've been teaching him for 7 days. Do you understand anything I've said? Mahaprabhu said, well, I understand Vedanta Sutra perfectly, but your explanations are way off, and I can't make, any sense of them. And Sarvabhauma, what? What? I'm the teacher, the greatest teacher of all of that in all of India. What are you saying? You give me your explanation. And he said, well, explain this verse. Atmaramas chamuneo nirganta apyukrame kurvantahai katim bhaktim uttam uttagano hari. This Atmarama verse, right? Of all the different kinds of Atmaramas, right? Those who, they're all self-satisfied, but all of them become even more satisfied, completely satisfied by devotion and hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, right? And Sarvabhauma explained it in 9 different ways, very scholarly. And then Mahaprabhu said, I'll now explain it. And he explained it in 64 ways, to the astonishment of Sarvabhauma, and rejected all the descriptions of Sarvabhauma, which were devoid of devotion. So before that, though, Gaurahari came to Vidyānagara and defeated everyone with logic, which is what they were involved in. He used logic to show teachers and students alike were defeated by Sri Gaurahari and ran away. Whoever hears about this amazing Vidya Leela of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is freed from all ignorance. He wanted to show, first of all, he was the topmost proponent of tarka, argument, nyaya, logic. Nobody could stand before him. And then later he just rejected it as inferior and went to show that ultimately all these statements that you're studying about grammar and everything else, they're meant to point to devotion to Sri Hari. And no one could refute him. So, when Sri Jiva heard about Sriman Mahaprabhu's pastimes of scholarship, the bliss of prema overwhelmed him, and he rolled about in the dust of Vyasapit in Vidyānagara, right? Sri Jiva made a request at the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, oh Lord, please clear this doubt of mine. Now here, listen to this. Why all these different forms of knowledge are being taught here if they're so inferior? This knowledge of Sankhya and logic are inauspicious. How can they have a place in this eternal Dham? Hearing this, Sri Nityananda Prabhu embraced Sri Jiva and answered his question. He was chanting, Haribol, Haribol, with great affection. Sri Nityananda said, O Jiva, no inauspiciousness can exist in this pure holy abode of Sriman Mahaprabhu. And this also answers the question, why during the time of Mahaprabhu were all these atheists there, right, who seem opposed to him and everything that he was teaching, right? But he says, nothing inauspicious can be here. Sankhya and logic by themselves are devoid of potency here. They are dependent on bhakti and serve bhakti. People who have become wicked by their sinful acts turn everything upside down. Right, and this described in Madhurya Kadambini also. The potency of all these lesser systems still comes from bhakti. Without bhakti, none of them can bear the limited fruits that they offer. And so bhakti herself assumes a special form to allow these practices to bear something. Here, bhakti is the supreme goddess and all others are her servants. The purpose of logic, yoga, sankhya, and others is to illuminate bhakti, right? Practiced properly, people with lesser adhikar, they can use these systems like a stepping stone towards bhakti if they do it appropriately and under guidance, right? Navadvīpa is the abode of the 9 limbs of devotional service, Navada Bhakti. Here, karma and jnana are always serving bhakti. To those averse to Bhagavan, the scriptures give a wicked intelligence, but to those who are virtuous, they bestow the good intelligence of attachment to Sri Krishna. And you can see this even in the modern day. Scientists, there's 2 classes of scientists, atheistic and theistic. And there's a modern group of scientists, even though they're limited, and they're only like Christians, still they see this material world in terms of, in relation to a divine creator. And they can point in so many ways in their analysis and study of the material universe and the complexity of the cell, DNA, all these things. You can see this. They present so many points as obviously pointing to a divine creator. But the atheists, they can look at the exact same information and just not see it that way. Faith, where your faith lies, that determines your ability to see things in this way or that way. So if you're averse to Bhagavan, wicked intelligence. If you're virtuous, you get attachment to Krishna. Prodamaya is a maidservant of Sri Gora and the presiding deity of this place. She resides here throughout each and every yuga and serves Sri Gora Hari. In her form as Mahamaya, Prodamaya makes the sinful offenders of Vaishnavas blind in regard to true knowledge and gives them various types of miseries, sins, and results of fruit of actions. But if a person offends Vaishnavas, in her form of knowledge, Shuddha Saraswati, Prodamaya destroys all sins and all the results of fruit of actions. So 2 forms. If a person offends Vaishnavas, she keeps him far away because of his aparad. Never offend Vaishnavas. We're practicing now, we associate with so many different kinds of Vaishnavas. Don't criticize any of them. It just impedes bhakti. Such wicked, if you don't understand, just keep a distance. Don't offend. Don't get embroiled in that. So, if you offend, you're doomed. Such wicked persons may acquire knowledge in Nadia, but they will never attain the treasure of Prem, Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Instead of knowledge, such persons acquire only ignorance. They can never perceive the magnificence of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Nadia. Therefore, knowledge can never be inauspicious. Only ignorance, the shadow of knowledge, is inauspiciousness. Ignorance, right? This is the potency of Maya to cover us, and then we're thrown down, and then we're covered with ignorance, and then false ego makes us think that we are this. O Jiva, by Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy, all these truths will be revealed in your heart. Later, according to Mahaprabhu's desires, you will describe all of this in your scriptures. So then Mahaprabhu will reveal all this through you, his Sandarbhas and other writings. Now let us go to the residence of Sri Janamuni, which we'll go to tomorrow. So yeah, that's a very comprehensive, very interesting explanation of this Vidyānagara and how all forms of knowledge, all the historical compilation, all the great personalities, they're all there, right? They're all there. But according to our inclination, knowledge can serve us in bhakti. Everything can serve us in bhakti if the mentality is this all belongs to the Lord, or it can be used selfishly. This is our battle every day. What are we doing? Are we taking this for our own enjoyment? If we do, then we'll be bewildered at every step. And we'll always misuse the Lord's energy to the extent of, how much that mentality pervades us. We'll be covered by illusion and try to enjoy these things. And then there's the, intermediate stage where sometimes we're bewildered and sometimes we're not. That's why we always have to be under guidance, right? Always under guidance, taking shelter of our beloved gurus, which we're doing now on this Parikramā. So I guess I should stop here. I'm over time. I want to offer my obeisance to all the devotees, to Śrīla Prabhupada, to Śrīla Gurudev, to our Guru Varga, and to the Holy Dham. Mahaprabhu and his associates, and all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. And to our moderator, Jai Nityananda Das. Haribol.
Haribol, Haribol. So what an amazing, amazing experience this Parikrama. We're so blessed to have this opportunity to go there by mind, if not by body. And so beautiful, Rādhā-kuṇḍa, all the different parts that are there. God, it's amazing. So anyways, we have now the kirtan for the closing. Let me see. Hari Prabhu. Oh, Shamali, no, what's the kirtan today?
Spatarini
Yeah,
and Hari.
Yes, Haribol.
Haribol.
Yes, yes.
Jai
Thank you.
Maharaj,
Can see
thank
you
you
here.
so much. Wonderful dissertation.
Dear Hari Prabhu, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Jai. Haribol.
Krishna Chaitanya came 500 years ago, chanting Hare Krishna when heaven did know. He was born underneath an elm tree. He said, Lord, in the guise of a pure devotee, Om Nasti you said into this planet to save everyone. By his Sankirtan movement is known. Chaitanya's come just to take us back home. By chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Taking the complexion and mood of Radhika, taught by Radha Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Satchidananda Gora Hari Satchidananda Gora Hari Satchidananda Gora Hari Satchidananda Gora Hari Jaya Gora Hari Gora Hari Gora Hari Jaya Gora Hari Jaya Gora Hari Gora Hari Gora Hari Jaya Gora Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari
Jai Hari Bol. Qué dulzura.
Grazie.
Wow, such a beautiful singing. So this then concludes our day 4 on the Parikramā, and we're gonna go then tomorrow, final day of the Parikramā, and then that leading to the Gorpunim festival. So we'll be visiting Śrī Ṛtrudvīpa, the island of Janumani, Modatuma Dvīp, Mamagachi, and the house residence of Śrī Sarangadeva Murari. So I hope to see everybody there tomorrow on time, and please accept my Dandava pranams, everybody. Panchakalpa Taribhyascha